You know, one of my favorite philosophers, Kierkegaard, said something like, you know, men don't look inside because it's not a very pretty sight in there, and I think that that's really true. That we're scared to death. I mean, I think a lot of our dating is like, how can I do this performance that will like seduce you enough to like want me, but not give you any insight into the actual complete jerk that I really am.
But isn't it also the fault of the female of, you know, accepting this stuff and being like, and being allowed to be picked up in these stupid, you know, kind of dehumanizing ways?
Yeah.
I think it's
yeah, sure.
females have
we both do a dance
right.
on this. Maybe I know that we have to end. So let me end with let me say this last thing because I think that's really important. You know, if we've created this idea that it's only men who are confused about all this stuff, then we're off base. So I'll tell you a story. This will work, I think, here in Texas. So Anna Quindlen, the novelist, before she was a novelist, she was actually a writer at the New York Times, and she wrote this column called the Hers column. You know, like the rest of the newspaper was his, and then they had it's like Women's History Month and Men's History Months. And so she wrote this column once, and it was about women's confusion. She said, okay, let's be honest, ladies. She said, okay, I'm going to offer you two men. You tell me which one you want to end up with. One of them is short and thin and has receding strawberry blonde hair, and he's very nice. He's so gallant. He's so caring. He will never betray you. He's just completely yours. And the other is tall, dark, mustache, roguishly handsome, and he's a complete scoundrel. He has never been faithful. There's no reason to think he will with you. So I present this to my students at this choice. And one of my students says, all right, so I know what I'm supposed to say. So I'll marry number one, but can I have sex with number two first? And so I thought, oh, that was interesting. You know, so then so Quindlen then says, okay, let me give them names, right? Let's call the first one Ashley Wilkes and the second Rhett Butler. Now who would you choose? Right? And of course, generations of American women, Rhett Butler was the sexiest man, and the sexiest scene in the history of movies, as in a 1975 poll of American women, was the scene where Rhett Butler carries Scarlett O'Hara up the stairs as she is hitting him, kicking him, and saying no. It's a sexual assault scene. That's the sexiest scene in the history of movies. Okay, so what my students, when I say this to my students, that same student says, well, the thing about Rhett Butler is he's never been loved by me. When I love him, he'll change.
Yep.
And so I think she captures women's romantic fantasy, that women's love is transformative. Women's love can transform a bad man into a good man, but keep some of the bad characteristics for, you know, nighttime. So I think so that's confusing, right? Because here's what I get from men. The question I'm asked most often by men on college campuses is, I don't get it. Women keep saying to me, we want you to be sensitive and good listeners and talk about your feelings. So I talk about my feelings and I'm really sensitive and I'm a really good listener and I can't get a date. I'm always in the friend zone. But they go after all these macho jerks. What's wrong with women? You know, because they give us this message. I give them what they say they want, and they don't want it. And the answer is, of course, yeah, because she didn't make you that way. Because her loving you is supposed to make you move from being a jerk to being wonderful. So it seems to me that if we present it that women have it all figured out and men are confused, we'll miss the point. The difference is that women have been smart enough to figure out that they're confused, and they have generated the single largest social movement in the history of the world to address their confusion. And men still think that they're cowboys, and they'll do it themselves. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We got this. And so that's the difference. Not that women aren't confused. Yes, we do get mixed messages from women, and if we say, and if we feminists say that women, that men are all the problem and women don't have any complicity in this, we will they'll not listen to another word we say. And they'll be right not to.